Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. We're going to continue on our procedural drafting and drafting guide for World Arena as I'm doing the E7WC mode. If you watched episode 1, this is now episode 2, and we're just going to continue on. Of course, these fights will be like, you know, varying degrees of players. Looks like this one, Asia player, he ended EMP, so, you know, the same league as me. I'm going to start round 1 here with cleaving, so I'm going to pre-ban Bellion. He pre-banned Rimuru, which means a Pavel Ran cleave is going to be a super easy one to pull off, assuming he doesn't start, you know, counter drafting anti-cleave. So an A Robbie first pick is very strong for cleave. He went C Lilius, which again, I said this in episode 1 that if Ran is available and you choose C Lilius, you better hope that your C Lilius is really fast, because like, you know, Ran Pavel cleave can really outdo a C Lilius, and especially he went Spectenny second pick, taking advantage of the Bellion pre-ban, which is pretty smart most of the time. But again, there is too many openers right now to play aggro, to play cleave. He's fitting right into the category of the right anti-cleave team that opens up my Pavel Ran Politis cleave. And of course A Robbie being very strong here. This is like the most like bare bones cleave that anyone could do at the moment. Last pick being C Dom, most likely better than Edda here because of the rem. So basically 2 ways of one-shotting the rem, and he's picked the C Lilius and the Troublemaker Closet for the AoEs to deal enough damage to Spectenny. So whether Pavel makes it, potentially Spectenny dies in 1 hit, or Ran Death Breaks, and it should be pretty easy to get to Spectenny before she can wipe the whole team. This one is obviously a last pick ban. I said in episode 1 that you ought to aim for banning last pick. In cleave is not necessarily the case, but most of the time it works out that way. I gave more HP release imprints from A Robbie to C Dom and Politis because they're going to be carrying the rest of the fight, so Ran doesn't really need this. There's no point soul burning for this one. We're not trying to you know, stop an Elena or guarantee a death break. I don't think I even landed the death break on the rem there. No, I didn't. The death break is at 85% for Ran, while the stigma debuff is at 100%. So Sigurd Scythe procced, he got unlucky, he didn't get the 30%. But that's the thing with cleave too, right? So like, from a cleaver's perspective, it could be RNG if you kill them or not, and from the anti-cleave perspective, if you are relying on RNG to win, it's also gonna be like 50-50. I mean, that dual attack, if it was Spectenny, he may have won. But it wasn't, so he yielded. That makes sense. So that's why I said, like, in the Epic 7 World Championship mode, playing cleave at least round 1 is actually pretty fun. Of course, I've been cleaved a lot myself, so no one likes to be cleaved because it does feel like cheating in a way. Because realistically, people want to have that kind of like back and forth, you know. But cleavers is just like, you know, all in, and you know, most of the time they can probably get the win. So I'm banning C Lilius, or am I banning C Lilius? No, I banned AOL. Banning C Lilius would have been okay because I knew that he was gonna ban Ran or Pavel anyway. So my round 2 wouldn't have been cleave, but he first picked A Robbie, which is okay, but giving me first pick C Lilius is very dangerous. I decided that he's probably not going to be cleaving me. Given Para is really the only opener right now, and he did settle with A Robbie first pick, so I took my chances. Went with the hand guy. Hand guy generally not too strong into cleave. And he, I guess maybe round 1 or maybe just this player's playstyle, he went with the Troublemaker Closet. At the moment, it's preemptively loading up his support really early. In my opinion, I think Troublemaker Closet is not the best choice here. I probably would have chosen A-Ros for more AoE protection, because I take advantage of it with the Landy. Right now he has 2 slots for AoE, which if he is playing right, he would draft that way. His support, his chosen supports in slot 2 and 3 is proper drafting though. I think he finishes off with a poor choice of DPS. Because now for last pick on my side, what I could do is I can mess up his entire thing. So the Edda is a force ban for sure, right? Because if I ban the Emilia, there's no speed contest on his side. Because like a hand guy can be like 250 speed, mine's 264, but if he had banned anything other than Edda, like Kayron could get stunned, everybody could get stunned. Maybe outside of the Troublemaker Closet, assuming, I think it had ER. But this leaves my team slightly vulnerable, but two forms of debuffer in terms of the Sea Lilius and the Emil Kauric for this full strip attack down. It made my team, although weak to AoE, much higher survivability. So I think the Kayron last pick was not strong enough for me to like force ban it. So what he needed to do there, I think, was come up with a hero that I had to ban no matter what. But unfortunately, it's the power of Sea Lilius. She really limits the options on the opponent's side. Or if people are playing Sea Lilius into you, you have limited options to deal with her. So because of Spectenny, pen set, vigor buff, attack buff, I mean, even with Troublemaker Closet, with a debuff now on her, there's no way she's surviving. The only thing was if I had soul burned and dual attacked, then I wouldn't have killed her and I would have died. So that was a bit of a risk, but a 5% chance for me to lose there. I'll take those chances. That boost to Kayron, probably the best choice, because he really needed to make sure that he didn't have the attack down. But unfortunately, again, this is why like LQC, stuff like Kayron, these one-shotters are pretty weak against Sea Lilius and Malkauric together. Because like, even if they have a DN or Amelia or anything like that, if they have a turn, they're gonna attack down and strip. So it did knock me out of Guiding Light, which is a bit risky for the Landy here. But fortunately, I have 2 stacks on the Spectenny, and it seems that a bit of a gear diff carried it forward. I mentioned this in episode 1 that I am on a Destruction set Spectenny now on pen set. It is the best gear score for her in my opinion. Now on to round 2. Q into a Japanese player. It seems that based on his frame, he probably wasn't an Emperor player, unless he's using it to hide his true identity. But let's just take the frame for what it is. Sea Lilius first pick, he saw the Bellion was banned, but it doesn't matter. Sea Lilius, like I said, very strong. First pick, actually he banned Bellion too, so maybe he was going for a cleave angle. But ran a Ravi cleave is, I think, by far the strongest form of starting, because you can pivot easily into non-cleave. So Angel of Light is definitely, you know, a good choice here. Not exactly for Ran. But definitely for Pavel, because I'm already planning to Pavel cleave. But I'm gonna go for it. Like I said, I'm brute forcing my cleaves in round 1 in E7WC, just because I feel like pretty confident with my standard playstyle, that I'll probably win. It sounds very overconfident, but but that's whatever. This is for fun anyway, right? So you may as well have fun. So I'm hovering CDOM or Spectenny, both book holders, and depending on what he chooses, both are decent options. Edda is also a decent option here. It just depends on what he chooses. But I have that last pick, which I need a book holder for sure. Because we need Pavel to be able to double turn. It just depended what he chose. So I needed to adapt. So if he chose like more single targets or single target damage dealers, I could just go Spectenny with very little consequence. He did go with the Hua-Yang here, and I just like, I think both worked in terms of my draft. So because he didn't draft anything outside of like, you know, like more mitigation or anything like that, AOL seems like the best ban. I think he opts to ban the Pavel, but some people may forget the interaction between Rand's, yeah, he did ban Pavel. Rand's, what do they call it? The Stigma debuff? I always forget the debuff. Stigma debuff with Politis, it means that no one gets CR boost. And because I have 2 book holders now, I can expend one of the books for Rand's S3, which is can ignore ER. There's no way I'm debuffing a regular Elena anyway, so he had to soberness so she doesn't get the cut. You can see there, but Stigma also reduces healing, so it helps my damage, and then of course Elena procs Politis. So in the case of my cleave for this one, mechanically, everything kind of fell into order. But he really couldn't risk the Pavel, I think. Unless he wanted to bank on luck with the elemental advantage on Hua-Yang and, like, you know, Pavel not being able to kill her off. But then again, I still had Proof A Ravi. So overall, it would have been a safe. It doesn't matter who he banned, I think. I think it would have been enough to kill. So yeah, well he's actually higher ranked than me, at least in the E7WC mode. So he probably spammed more games. There was some kind of bad start to this mode. A lot of people just, like, you know, because the dailies, they just yielded. So I think some people may have their points inflated because of that. The people who yielded for the daily energy. So he banned Ran, I banned AOL because I wanted to open myself to potential cleave. So you can see there I'm holding onto the Peira there. Peira is not the strongest anymore. Yeah, so right here I give up on the Peira. Peira is not super strong to Politis. With Ran, you could still S2 and have very little negative consequence unless that Politis one-shots your whole comp. So I think I do pivot here. I think I realized that C Lilius was open, or am I using something else? Okay, I went full standard. So with Politis, you can also, like, force her mechanic. So yeah, so this is what I was saying before. LQC into a hand guy is not strong. Not very strong. Yeah, I see, yeah. So this one was actually a really good showcase for Fire Hand Guy and Kisei double draft. This, I did mention it in my builds video that I had them built and I kept them built because of people like this. There are sometimes you can't take advantage of it, and of course, like I said, right, procedural draft, you ban the last and you're still gonna win. So in this draft, he had really no way to, like, no secure way to win. Again, Proof of Valor, a Ravi, decently fast A-Raw, so I'd probably get the defense buff up. My Kisei is not super fast, but my hand guy actually RNG'd her. But it's actually better this way because I also RNG'd the DN. So I get this turn before she can do an anti-crit, which would have been pretty bad for me. So Kisei is pretty good at disabling LQC as well, but in this case the the Politis was the main threat because Politis brings AoE, and my Kisei relies on the stealth. And the same as with the Fire Hand guy. If it had been a Kisei ban and Fire Hand guy allowed, but I think that he saw that you know, Fire Hand guy obviously had a book, and it ignores ER, so I think he took the risk. It didn't matter if she was stunned here. I got the defense buff up way ahead of time. I think on his part, I probably would have Soul Burn Spectenny, S1, hopefully get a poison, S3, do more damage, and then you give LQC 1 extra Hellcutter stack. So he's Soul Burn, in my opinion, the wrong hero, but it's really hard to determine that, especially in a fight. I only noticed that like after, like if he had Soul Burn Spectenny, she had attack buff, poison, S3 would have done more damage to A Robbie, and then Hellcutter extra stack, maybe it would have done more damage. Not quite sure, it's hard to say in retrospect, but it's unfortunate with no attack down there, and very fortunate that I actually wiped the Spectenny right there. With the Adamant buff from LQC's passive, and it went through anti-crit, so but either way, there was very little way I think he would have won though, because A Robbie would have had an S3 turn anyway. So this is episode 2 of procedural drafting in World Arena. I'm gonna end this for the video recording. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to YouTube if you enjoyed this series, and as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.